video is being made now. It's the last day of my working life in Bedfordshire Colliery. We've been down here 12 years, and for the majority of that time, 10 years of that, I've been building a boat. And this is the next stage. We'll be moving from the area and living on a boat. In the past, things have worked out alright, and I can't see why this should be any different. It goes back to the early days where I was brought up in Derbyshire. I was in the mines from the age of 15 to I think I was about 20, 21 when I left. And I left the area because it was industrial, I was in the dust, and I was young and believed that there's more things in life than money. And this is what I aimed for in those early days. So, we got a transit van and off to Somerset we went. We had a very basic home down there. It was a caravan about 36 foot, and Julie, who was the only child then, was about 6 months old. I lived there for 7 years. The wage difference between the two jobs was quite a lot. In the mines it was £26 a week, and down there it was £12. But I believed that was the right move. That life was more important than the extra few pounds, and where you lived meant more, and to walk on the beach instead of around the coat tips was what mattered. So that was the first time, and I remember it very clearly. We had a transit van, and my father and Brian drove me down to Somerset about the end of February '68. I think it was '68, yeah. And it was an adventure. And people in my mind said, "Oh, you'll never stay, you'll be back." And I said, "I'll never go back." And that was the start of the first one. And that lasted 7 years. And while I was down there, I had ideas of moving it from there. I was reasonably content. But when the opportunity came up, as I say, goes down to the blue. One day I was coming up from work, and I met somebody who worked there who said a friend of his was going to Algeria, but changed his mind. And I said, well, if he doesn't want to go, I'll go. It was only for 5.5 months, but it was an adventure. Not something I wanted to do on my own, it was something I wanted all the family to experience. So I gave my job up to take this one, which was only for 5.5 months. It was for bachelor status, which meant no family, but I have this thing that what is said doesn't mean that's what I'm going to do. So after 7 weeks of being out there, I managed to get Clem and Julie and Anna out. Julie at the time was about 6 and Anna was about 2. And this was the start of the second adventure. I remember leaving the caravan that day to go out there. I had a friend take me to Taunton, and I left father behind that would come down to see me off in the caravan. I went from Taunton then by train. I remember the train journey from Taunton to Reading. And when I got to Reading, I met the agent that was in charge of employing people. I'd actually signed a contract at the airport. And when I got out there, this was November '73. I could smell the heat of a tarmac, which for November in this country is not something you'd do. And when I got through customs, I remember seeing the English ones that was already there on the balcony. But after we'd gone through customs, I was introduced to an Algerian was a real Algerian looking type, big physique, the gown type of things over there. And I went with him in a Land Rover from the airport. And it was very misty, you couldn't see the countryside at all. It was just like a studio situation. It was in a Land Rover and you couldn't see anything outside. And we went about 10 miles to this villa. And I arrived there where there was already 4 English people, men, who had been up there previous weeks before me. And I was introduced to them and they went out, and that was my first day in Algiers. It's a pity I've got no videos of these situations. They're just in your mind. So we just record them, similar to a video. And that was the start of the second adventure. And again, if I spoke to people about it, they'd say it's unwise. I was always told, never take your family out, by the English I was out there, because it wasn't a country to take wives to. But the country was alright, and the people was alright, as good as the English any time. And that was the start of 5 years. It started in the very early days when we had a villa in Antaya, and I was cycling to get to work 15 miles each way. And it was four of us in one bed. Furniture, the villa was very basic. But like the caravan, the concept behind it was right. Although I listened to anybody else, it wouldn't have been, but to me it was right. And time proved it to be right. Because after the initial cycling on a push bike and then get a motorbike, and being in the Atlas Mountains, which is opposite to where we live, next to the beach, after about 18 months, 2 years of this type of existence, I was on technical assistance, which brought me from a bachelor status to the marriage status. And from that, my money increased, and the life out there was a lot better. So I started from the very bottom and came to quite a good position. And when I worked directly for the government, Sonic, I'd reached as far as I could, and the money was around 24,000 a year tax-free. So money-wise, I'd gone up a lot from when I left from mine to go to live in Somerset, £12 to 24,000. Well, that wasn't the aim of it. It was an adventure, a different lifestyle. It turned out alright. But if anybody could have said this the day I left the caravan to go out there, the odds of it working was 1,000 to 1. Because I always remember the first party I went to in Algiers, you had people who was on technical assistance, who had the families out with children out, and they had a relaxed attitude, and there was the ones who come out on their own, on bachelor status, was on the outside. I remember the clothes I had on at the time, because I was one for jeans and that was virtually it. I had my father's jacket on, his trousers, his shoes, his tie, his shirt, and that's all I had. But it turned out right. So it came to a point after a period of time, after 5 years, that it was just a question of making money. So when I came back to England again, there was no vacancies at the paper mill in Watchet, where I'd been before, but I didn't particularly want to go there, really. I wanted to try somewhere else in the British Isles. So I looked round when we came back just before Christmas. So I looked around the country then, went down to Plymouth, we went to various parts to find another good location. And from the money I'd made, which is about £24,000, and initially all we had from grown-up charges was £37. We made quite a large increase in this financial situation. So the idea was to compromise, which I think this is the mistake I made, was to buy a house near the sea and have a boat, which I had in Somerset, and compromise the two ideas, where we lived in the house which suited Clan and I had a boat which suited me for weekends. But in practice it doesn't work. And it's not just in my situation, I think in lots of situations it's the same. It's a boy in a man type of thing who wants a boat. But the girls who go to women don't have the same interest. So after the first year or so, they realise it's not for them. They make excuses. They want to get up on the housework. It's too windy, it's too wet. So after about 2 years I could see it wasn't going to work. And I'd really gone back to what I was in the beginning, a miner. As I'd found a place in South Wales which was near the sea, and as I worked in the mines and the money was quite good, I was quite happy to go back to the mines. But it was never meant to be forever. It was just another adventure type of thing. So I could see this wasn't going to work out. I decided I had to make this adventure shorter, or at least this wasn't going to be for the rest of my life. It couldn't be. I was imprisoned by the situation, like I explained. I tried to get out of on the north. I was going back, and the boyhood dream had gone over a period of a few years back to reality and acceptance of the system, which is something I could never accept. So when the long haul came in, man, I've been in now 12 years. Somerset was 7, Algiers was 5. Well, add those two together is what I've had here. And this has really been the struggle I've had in these last 12 years. And today is the end of one part of that struggle. And that's why I want, in years to come, to see how this one turned out. Exactly like the previous one, Somerset and Algiers. At this moment in time, with a boat in the garden, it looks very precarious. My wages now stopped. There's no guarantee of success. The odds are 100 to 1. But I'm confident it'll work. But what will the next video in years to come show, I can only guess. Maybe these guides from the past of what will happen. I have to find a way of making income. For the last 12 years it's been physical, which I can handle. But maybe I'm better on the mental side. And it's time to switch from the physical side of earning a living to the mental side. Now exactly how this will take, in what order, and at what time it will happen, if I'd actually make an income, I don't know. But as from now, my income has stopped, and I have a limited time, I would say around 2 years, to actually come up with a way of surviving. I'm not one to live up a dole or become a stick, as that is just defeat. One consolation, having worked for this 12 years, on the time I worked in Markham, my redundancy, which was paid out in August of this year, will be a reservoir financially for about 2 years. It's 26,000 plus what I get for the next 3 months, works out about £30,000. So that is a bit of a cushion. Of course, time moves on and Julie and I are at a different age. Clem is a bit reluctant to go on about, and the marriage a couple of times has been very close to the brink. At the moment it seems to be alright, because we've compromised, or I've compromised my views as to how long we're going to do this for. I put a time limit for Clem that if after 5 years she doesn't like the life, we'll come off the boat. That doesn't mean we will, it just means I accept after 5 years that if she doesn't want to live on it, we won't. That's something I've never done before, and maybe it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I'm trying to keep a family and the unity of a marriage together. As for the way I am, it's more difficult than for the average one, who wants a lot less, or asks less from his family and from his wife. But hopefully we will still be intact in 5 years' time. And looking back on this time today is the start of a further adventure. The next stage, which may be very soon and may not be till next year, but hopefully we'll do it this year, is to move a boat from the garden so we can assemble the beams. It should be around, well, it'll take at least 1 year to get it onto the sea, to have any chance of trying it onto the sea trials. So it'll be next summer at the earliest before it's ready for the sea. But it's better to move it earlier than later, so we can start putting beams and the mast and everything else. As a boat is very complex and it's quite unique. There's a lot of work. It's not just any old boat. This is quite a unique one, but the key lies in its uniqueness, and it should get quite a lot of attention as it's totally self-contained. For all this, Julie Ann has been involved in the diving side. I'm very involved in it. Their life depends on it as much as mine. So it should have quite a good chance in succeeding. When I say quite a good chance, I don't actually mean quite a good chance. It will succeed. And all this is in years to come, it should help Julie Ann. We're made in this situation. If you put enough planning into it,
regardless of what the